Let's begin.
Hey there, scary story fanatics. Welcome back to Cleaving Thought from Bone with your host, Sociopathic. It's time to pull out those tights once again. There's evil afoot. So settle in by your monitors for the penultimate chapter of the God Hand story, Not All Heroes Wear Capes, Book 2, Chapter 6. Dinner is served.
It was a couple of weeks before Vex was able to crack open the files on one of the computers that Layman Brown had stashed away. When she told us what she had found, it pissed me off, but I quickly came to the realization that it was just her power affecting me. She found files on dozens of people, names, addresses. I recognized many of them, and many of them I didn't. But what bothered me the most was that there was a file on me and my family. He had been watching us long before I ever caught wind of who he was or what was going on. There were video entries, like he was vlogging a journal about all of us. Some entries didn't have any information at all, just pictures, and unfortunately, many of these people were ones we had not yet encountered.
Well, it's a start.
Eidolon spoke up. Good job, Vex. I congratulated her. Any of these guys look familiar to you? I asked her.
No. Everything I was made to do came from phone calls and emails. I never knew who I was dealing with. Just that if I didn't do what I was told, he would hurt me. And he did. A few times.
Vex said, her voice trailing off as she thought back on what she was put through and what she was made to do.
So, how are we going to find these guys? Can't exactly hop around the city and blindly look for them all the time.
I think I might know who can help us. I informed them, a light bulb flicking on in my brain. That night, I found myself doing the craziest thing that ever crossed my stupid mind. With Vex's help, I was able to find Officer Kraft's apartment, and with Eidolon's skills, I was able to just blink inside without being seen. And there, I had a seat in his kitchen, out of view of his front door. When he entered his home and flicked on the light, I waited for him to lock the door behind him and then made myself be known, announcing myself to him from around the corner. "Who's there?" he yelled, immediately drawing his gun to defend himself. "It's the God Hand. Please, don't shoot," I answered as I came around the corner with my hands up. "What the hell are you doing in my apartment? How'd you find out where I live?" He immediately began questioning me. "I need your help. Do any of these people look familiar to you?" I asked him, showing him the files that I had downloaded onto my cell phone. "Just gonna gloss over the fact that you broke in and cut right to the chase, huh?" Officer Kraft said to me before having a look at the pictures on my phone. "Stop. Go back," he said, telling me to scroll back through the pictures. "That guy. I know that guy," he said, pointing to a scrawny, rat-looking guy that looked to be in his 30s or 40s. "That's the chef for the Benici crime family. My boss talked to him after Benito Benici was killed last summer." Kraft continued. "I heard about that. The rival family. The Vendettis?" I replied to him. "That's what we thought. But Alfred Vendetti didn't even take credit for it, and he's already in prison for life without parole. You know he would take pleasure in it, but he didn't. In fact, he was pissed off that he didn't get the chance. So who other than him? Kraft questioned the case. This guy was on a database with other known people with alibis like mine, so maybe he knows more than he let on. I revealed to Officer Kraft. Well, Benedito was found with a knife still in his gut, so I doubt it was a superpower that did that, Kraft explained. I still bet he knows more than he's letting on, I told him, knowing full well that there was more to this than meets the eye. What's his name? Where can I find him? I asked. Bartleby Stanton. You can find him around the south side of town. He has a restaurant down on 5th, actually, Kraft answered. Thank you, Officer Kraft. I'll keep in touch, I said, before sending Eidolon a quick text. You didn't hear it from me, Kraft told me, before Eidolon blinked in to get me. I don't know an Officer Kraft, I reassured him with a nod as Eidolon popped in and carried me away in a snap. I have to admit, I was pretty proud of that little stunt. It made me actually feel like a comic book hero for a little while. But still, under all that, I knew that I wasn't a hero. Not by a long shot. The next day, I found myself sitting at this guy's restaurant, ordering a nice, juicy cheeseburger, and when it came out, boy, was it delicious. One of the best burgers I've ever had. It was a shame that I was probably going to have to kill the guy. After finishing my meal of possibly the perfect burger with expertly seasoned fries, I had to ask if I could give my compliments to the chef in person. At first, the waitress denied my request, but after slipping her a couple of 20s, she happily told me that the chef goes out back for a cigarette every night at almost precisely 9 p.m., and it was then that I would be able to possibly have a word with him. I thanked her and made note to go back later and have a chat with this guy, as the God Hand, of course. Sure enough, at 9:05, the chef came out the door, propping it open with a brick, before walking a bit away from the door and lighting up a cigarette in an alley behind the restaurant.
I thought my break would never get here,
the chef said, after taking a puff off his smoke. Bartleby Stanton, I said, stepping around the corner of the building next door.
Who's there?
He called out, startled by my presence. Why are you on a database of people with superpowers? I asked him, feeling a bit awkward about the words that came out of my mouth. There was nothing super about these powers. They were literally a curse brought on by demons.
Superpowers?
The man laughed at my question. Don't lie to me, Bartleby, I told him, angrily, gripping the collar of his shirt.
Sir, I don't know what you're talking about,
Mr. Stanton said, holding his hands up. Hey, what's going on back there? An officer yelled from the street, which brought on a fit of laughter from the rat-like man that I held against the wall in front of me. At first, I was confused as to what he was laughing at, and then I realized exactly who I was dealing with when the officer screamed in agony. His hat popped off of his head as a growth began to swell across the side of his skull. His eyeball on the same side swelled and popped with a viscous, yellow substance. His arms and legs began to curl inward on themselves, his flesh turning color to resemble what looked more like ground hamburger than human flesh. The sound of his bones cracking was soon replaced with a squishy sound of meat folded inward. His skin swelled and turned to a golden brown color, boils forming across his flesh to then become a unicorn shape in their scattering about his skin. His body continued to shrink inward upon itself as his fingers popped off what was left of his arms, and they too changed color and shape. Soon, the horror of what I was witnessing came into clear view as the man's tiny body toppled onto the ground with a splat in front of the police car's headlights. It was a delicious-looking burger and a side of perfectly spiced fries, the same exact meal that I had eaten inside the restaurant. My grip loosened as I became sick to my stomach, realizing what I had done, what he had made me do. The guy laughed hysterically in my face, and it was only stopped when I popped him in the face and broke his nose, causing blood to gush out of his narrow face. I know a lot about you, and your boss, I informed him.
But you don't know where he is because you killed off the rest of us.
Bartleby joked in sing-song fashion through blood running down his face. Whatever, Donner Party, I dubbed him for the cannibal that he was and made others be. Tell me where Solomon is, or I'll show you my power, I commanded, pulling off the glove to reveal my blackened hand, gangrenous and rotten in appearance. It was then that we were startled by the sound of a bunch of college kids walking home from a party at the bar down the street.
This is gonna be fun.
Donner said with a giggle before screams erupted from the street. There, through the end of the alley, I could see them all writhing in pain. A young man in front was liquefying, bits of tomato and peppers spitting out of his skin while the flesh around it turned to a viscous broth. Behind him, two girls were in the middle of the street attempting to hold each other up, one of them sprouting green, frill-like pieces from her skin, her eyeballs popping out as cherry tomatoes. Her blood soaked the salad of her flesh and became a dressing atop it. The other girl was also liquefying, but in a much different fashion. Her skin changed color to parts of pale white, or brown, or bright pink. It turned soft, and one of her arms became a spoon to eat her body with. Finally, the last of them, a young man that was farther away, was crushed down to the size of a small dog, his flesh rolling and being covered with a brown glaze, his ears popping off and coiling around to become slices of pineapple atop a holiday ham. Tell me, or you die, I said coldly.
Wanna see what becomes of what you don't eat?
The man replied, just as coldly.
Go have a look at that dumpster. The one with the bee spray painted on the side.
He added with a smile of blood-covered lips and teeth. I dragged the guy over to the dumpster, never taking my eyes off of him. There, I told him to open it, and he did as I commanded. And what I found inside shocked me to my core, which takes a lot these days. The dumpster was packed full of human body parts. Most of the ones on top were fresh and bloody, while those beneath were starting to rot and stink. Shredded skin, disembowelments, heads, torsos, arms, and legs, all ripped and torn as if they had been mauled to death by large beasts.
The family cleanup crew hasn't come by in a week or so. I've been meaning to call them,
Donner Party said, as if it was just garbage filling up the dumpster. The family, huh? Was it you that killed Benedito Benici? I asked him, showing my hand.
Not exactly. You see, Bartholomew Benici liked to eat his meals with a knife and fork, no matter what it is. He's weird like that. So I turned Benedito into a turkey sandwich. But unfortunately, Barty was interrupted during his meal, and he didn't finish off the evidence, leaving old Ben with a knife in his back on the kitchen counter.
He replied with disgust. Why did you do that? I questioned.
It was time that Barthendalis took over the family business, led us into a new era with the help of the other families.
Other families that you have connections with?
Exactly.
I think I might know where to look for your boss now. Thanks for the help, I told him, getting a look of realization and defeat from him.
Please don't tell him what I told you. He'll kill me.
He won't kill you, I told him, getting a look of relief for a moment before the look sunk off his face with my next words. "Because I will first," I added, before pushing my hand down onto his face. His eyes grew so wide that they nearly popped out of his head. Then I heard gagging beneath my hand as he was choking. He had swallowed his own tongue almost instantly after my touch. His eyes filled with tears, and his skin began to change color, first red, then purple, and finally blue as I let him drop to the ground of the alley. I knew where I had to look next, and I knew who could help me. I hoped Officer Kraft wouldn't be too upset with another visit from the God's hand.
Well, there's just one more chapter to go until the God Hand reaches the end of the line. What may that entail? You'll just have to tune back in. Same sociopathic time and channel. But don't forget to come back next weekend for a story that's out of this world, but all too familiar. And until then, make sure to like, share, subscribe, and turn on notifications so I can catch you all again next Saturday.
Social media can be very unpredictable, especially regarding horror content. If this content gets removed, all new content will be simultaneously presented on various websites provided in the description to this video. Make sure to follow me in other digital spaces so that you never miss out on the terror. Also, if you like this video, make sure to leave a comment and hit the like button. It helps the channel a lot. If you're new to the channel and you enjoy what's here, consider hitting that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you never miss an upload. Writing is a dream of mine, and it's all of you that make that dream come true.